Two governors, two states, one massive power grab that'll decide who controls Congress in 2026. In California, Gavin Newsom just got caught red-handed. He claims to support independent redistricting, then brags about overriding his own commission to steal 5 House seats. In Texas, it's total chaos. Democrats fled the states like fugitives. And of course, yours truly caught them in Illinois at the location where they were hiding out. They were breaking quorum to block new congressional maps. They're calling them Jim Crow districts while hiding out in Pritzker's hotels. Governor Abbott's now calling for a second special session. Steve Bannon is going ballistic, saying that the Texas GOP is too weak to fight. This is not about fair representation anymore. It's about raw power, and what's happening right now in these two states will determine whether Republicans or Democrats control your future. So stay tuned. While politicians redraw maps to grab power, there's only one man who's been defying the odds for decades. Chuck Norris. He's in his 80s. He's still kicking butt, working out, and playing with his grandkids. How? He made a simple change that has him feeling like he's in his 50s again. His wife started doing it too. She says she feels 10 years younger, has energy all day. Unlike these politicians who steal your representation, Chuck is giving you something real. Watch his shocking video at chuckdefense.com/next. You will not believe just how simple it is. That's chuckdefense.com/next. It's linked down below. We thank Chuck Norris for his support of our work here. Now, while I was down in Texas at the Ron Paul birthday party, the Texas Democrats were in my state hiding out. And I had an opportunity to sit down with the health ranger himself, well, actually standing just outside of the hall. And we had a little talk about what's going on in Texas. And, of course, some of the stories from the White House that I've had and experienced. I want you to watch this, and then we're going to go even deeper.
Sent him out there.
All right, I'm here at the Ron Paul birthday with Next News Network founder Gary Franchi. Welcome, Gary.
Hey, it's great to be here.
So you gave a speech earlier. Tell us about what's on your mind here, what you're doing.
Well, I'm here because Ron Paul woke me up. And it was, obviously it goes further back than that. I mean, when I saw Ron Paul and Aaron Russo's film on the big screen, it changed my life, and it put me on a path to just continue to challenge the status quo. And ultimately, what it comes down to is not being afraid to ask questions.
Definitely.
Just ask questions. And in some countries, you are not allowed to do so. And I want to make sure that we continue to ask questions, we continue to seek truth, and when we see things that are going wrong, we try to fix it. And that's what we do.
That's exactly what you do at Next News Network. So first thing I want to ask you, you were invited by the White House to be a White House correspondent. Tell us what that experience has been like.
Well, first of all, I never thought I'd be there. I always wanted to be in those briefing rooms. I mean, even during the first administration of Donald Trump, we would watch the press briefings, and I've always I just felt this draw. I needed to be in that room. How do I get in that room? And I never could figure out exactly how. And then, of course, when the election was stolen in 2020, we all woke up that morning. It was like a nightmare. And we lived through a nightmare for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then finally, when Trump won again, the third time, we heard rumblings that there would be this new media seat, this new environment for fresh voices, fresh faces that would be able to challenge those people who are sitting in those assigned seats. And so we heard about it, we heard rumblings of it, and then suddenly Caroline Leavitt went to the podium that day, and she said, "This is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it, and here's the link to do it." I'm like, well, that was cool.
So you signed up.
Well, it's kind of an interesting story because we did sign up through that channel. However, because we never stopped fighting, through the years, we'd go to events like this. We would meet people, make connections, exchange information, and people would go on and do their own thing. And suddenly, you follow people on X, or you follow people or their website or whatever, and you check in on them from time and time again, and you see, wait a second, this person just got hired at the White House. What are they, deputy what?
Right.
So I made a couple phone calls, reached out, and he's like, email this person, drop the name, and there we are.
So are you living there part-time now, or how does it work?
No, I try to go out there at least once a month. So if I go out there, one time I go for like a week at a time.
Okay.
Because it does cost a lot to go out there, and I'm not just going to fly in for a couple of days. And the reason being is because you never know what's going to happen. And like we sent a guy out, Thomas McCullough, he's our other White House correspondent. We sent him out there, and then Trump goes out to the Middle East for a week. And I'm like, okay, well, it's basically a ghost town at the White House with nothing's going on. So we had to we just have to roll the punches, modify our production. Now you're reporting from afar, but at least you're on White House grounds.
True, yeah.
So you have the White House behind you officially. You can use all the resources they have in the building. Because you can. You can walk in there and you can sit down in any of those seats, and you could go, gorge on their vending machine if you want to. It's all there. It's all accessible.
Now, real quick, tell our audience how they monitor, how they follow your news. Next News Network, but where can they find you?
Well, we're still on YouTube, believe it or not. We've had to jump.
Miracle.
Yeah, it's a miracle. We've had to jump through a lot of hoops for that. I have to thank a certain number of people for helping us. Zach Voorhees, Google whistleblower, helping us get remonetized through the Texas Senate testimony that he gave, which of course the Texas committee subpoenaed Google, and you can look it up. But you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on X, Next News Network. We're on Rumble as well, so you can find us on all the platforms.
Okay, one last question. I got to ask you a tough question on this. How do you handle the interaction with the press secretary on some of the contentious issues that are kind of fragmenting the MAGA base right now? Like the jabs or whatever. How do you deal with that there and kind of keep the pressure on, but also stay invited? You know what I mean? How do you balance?
Well, first of all, you just got to raise your hand. Just got to raise your hand. Hope you get called on. I've made friends there at the White House who are also in different media outlets, and it really is just a relationship game and how you connect with people. And, I went into the upper press office one day, and there was Caroline Leavitt walking around the corner coming from the Oval Office, and she was this far away from me, and I almost bumped into her. And I was just like, oh my goodness. I was like, Caroline. And I had just finished introducing myself to the whole upper press team, and I said, we're going to fight the fake news or something like that along those lines as she was walking away. And, just so she knows that I'm not like out to play gotcha games with these people.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the media previously was always just playing gotcha.
Yeah, always gotcha games. And the thing is, we are a new face in there. They see us as a new face. The old guard is in there, and they don't like us in there. They feel entitled to, there's a pecking order, and just learning that process at the same time it's really difficult because you don't walk in there and like, here's your orientation class. They don't do it,
right.
The stories I could tell you just being there in the first couple of weeks. But to get back to your other question, when am I going back? I'm not sure exactly yet. We just got back from our NATO summit trip. We were with the White House delegation there. We're traveling in the motorcades, and seeing the war machine overseas was a pretty remarkable experience.
You were just covering the Texas delegates evading voting.
Yeah, ironically, I'm in Texas now. I'm from Illinois, and the Texas Democrats were just caught in St. Charles, Illinois, which is 5 minutes from my house.
Oh, okay.
So
you went in there, you found them.
Yeah, so we had Mark Vargas, who works with Illinois Review. He was actually one of the architects of Roger Stone's commutal with Donald Trump. So he gets a phone call from some of the grassroots guys, and they're like, "Yeah, we think these Democrats are hanging out in St. Charles at the Q Center." So Vargas contacts my friend Chad. Chad goes over there, does recon that night, sees the place lit up because it's usually dark. I go there the next day, and I'm like, I'm here to interview Jasmine Crockett, and they're like, wait a minute, who are you? Tell them my name. They bring out the manifest, and he's checking for my name on the manifest, and I see all the names, and I see representative, and I'm like, hey, I saw her name. I'm supposed to interview. He's like, I know you saw, but you're not allowed in. So we busted them.
But you confirmed that they were there.
Yeah, we busted them cold.
And since then, Governor Abbott has unleashed the FBI to try to find some of these people, right? Didn't Bongino confirm that? I
believe that was true. I didn't look much further than what I heard about it. But yeah, from what I understand, the FBI is getting involved. But I don't know. I did speak to some law enforcement in Illinois with respect to jurisdiction, because I said, listen, you got an active warrant out of the state of Texas, out of the state house of all places. Can't they go and arrest these people? And he goes, listen, Gary, he's like in Illinois, he's like, these guys, you will not find a sheriff or a jurisdiction that is going to go and interfere in this, because you're talking about Pritzker, you're talking about another governor, you're talking about redistricting. Like, it's not going to happen. There's not going to be a cop or a sheriff who's ballsy enough to go in. So, at least I had to find out, but at least we blew the cover.
You nailed it.
And there were bomb scares the next day. They had to evacuate the building. Turned out it was only an anonymous email that came in. It was frivolous, probably a false flag. Jasmine Crockett finds an anonymous email system and sends it to her, right? So yeah, we caught him up.
You're doing great work, Gary, and I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing and for fighting for liberty. Next News Network, everybody. Gary Franchi, I've known you for many, many years. Thank you for all your work, all that you do.
Well, and Mike, your work is inspiring millions and millions of people and waking up people, and on so many dimensions too, and not just on the health front, but the freedom front. And I think, I commend you for staying in the game for as long as you have, and all the innovation that you've done to help people to maintain their voice.
We got to stay on the leading edge of this, like you're doing in D.C., right there on the front lines right now.
We're doing our best.
All right. Thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you.
Organic blueberries.
There was my hit with Mike Adams just outside of the Ron Paul event. And now, speaking of Texas House going nuclear. 88-7 vote orders a sergeant at arms to hunt down missing Dems after warrant of arrest, drag them back to the chamber by any means necessary. 6-hour recall rule in effect. Quorum games are over. This we posted just 2 hours ago. But listen to this first.
The committees. I have been told, and I expect, that we will reestablish quorum on Monday. Although I have not seen any public statements directly from those who are not here, that seems to be what people have the expectation of. When we do establish quorum, these bills will be immediately referred. The committees will expected to have immediate hearings all of next week, and we will work to accomplish every item on the call and even some more. My goal will be to have this body accomplish this and be able to adjourn sine die before the Labor Day weekend.
Here we have more from the Texas House going nuclear, 88-7 vote.
Order beacon.
Chair recognizes Mr. Guerin for a second motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Mr. Speakers, I move that the Sergeant of Arms or officers appointed by her send for all absentees whose attendance is not excused for the purpose of securing and maintaining their attendance under warrant of arrest if necessary, and that this order be continued beyond the adjournment of today's session until the further order of the House.
Members, you've heard the motion. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote nay. It's a record vote. Clerk, ring the bell. Show Representative Guerin voting aye. Mr. Hunter voting aye. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? 88 ayes and 7 nays. The motion prevails. The Sergeant at Arms and any officers appointed by her are directed to send for all absentees whose attendance is not excused for the purpose of securing and maintaining their attendance under warrant of arrest if necessary until further.
Under warrant of arrest if necessary. Here we have this from Gavin Newsom claiming he supports independent redistricting, then announcing he plans to pick up 5 seats in Congress by pushing aside the Independent Redistricting Commission. This level of hypocrisy, it rivals the French Laundry. Kevin Kiley posting this from CNN. GOP lawmaker pushes to halt mid-decade redistricting.
And I'm very concerned about my own state of California, and what's happening in California is actually much worse than what's happening anywhere else. And as I've said, I don't agree with what's happening in Texas either. But in California, we have an independent commission that was established by the voters. And so now there's an attempt not just to redraw district maps in the middle of the decade, but to abolish that independent commission, to throw out its map, and to return power into the hands of politicians, even though voters said that's exactly what they don't want. And I don't think it's any justification to say that something wrong is happening in some other state. I mean, this fails the test of kindergarten logic, that 2 wrongs don't make a right. And just because there's something that we don't like going on elsewhere, that doesn't mean that our voters should be punished for it, that we should make our elections less fair in California, that we should degrade our politics, which is why groups like Common Cause and the League of Women Voters have come out and said this is a dangerous move, knowing full well what's going on in Texas and other states. They said this is the wrong thing for California. I'm very concerned.
Let's keep going here. We've got some more. After ordering lawmakers back to the Texas Capitol for a second special session, Abbott talked briefly about where the legislature stands with the Texas House Democrats.
Wait and see. Every strategy is at play. Depends on when and whether the Democrats show up. You know, they talk as though they're going to be showing up today or tomorrow. We'll wait and see. But we hold a lot more bullets in our belt that we'll be ready to use if we need to. Thank y'all very much.
Abbott says he's got bullets in his belt. 3 days ago, Texas House Democrats bent the knee and are supposedly returning to Texas for Abbott's special session to pass the new Texas map. But after we're learning this is 8 hours ago, Texas House Democrats, after we issued our conditions to return home yesterday, Texas Republicans have given in and ended their corrupt special session. They tag Abbott saying he can release the flood funding at any moment, call his office and tell him. Here's another Texas House Democrat who broke the quorum with their 2 goals. This is what they state: to kill the first special session and find partners in other states to neutralize Abbott's maps. As of this morning, the House is adjourned and California is committed to act if they must. How sick is this? Multiple sources telling ABC News that Democrat lawmakers who left Texas to block new congressional maps will return to the state. Let's check in with Steve Bannon.
The feckless nature of Newsom, he wasn't just going to sit there with the feckless nature of the Texas governor and lieutenant governor and speaker of the House, right? Didn't get it done in the regular session, didn't get it done in the first special session. What do they think this is a badge of honor? You're just going to do 9 special sessions and eventually they'll give up? You got to take bold action and get it done at the beginning. This is the way you shut down the Gavin Newsoms in the world. Newsom, he wasn't just going to sit there.
Gavin Newsom threatening to redistrict California now. Here is a Henry Drums writing, Texas Republicans caving to the Democrats. Same old story. Quote tweeting Brian Harrison, Democrats officially defeat entire special session. That is why Abbott has to call a second special session.
Howdy neighbors, Brian Harrison here, walking out of the Capitol here in Austin with just a quick update. Just walked off the floor and guys, it's official. The first special session is over. The Democrats have won. They were able to thwart the Republican priorities, every single one of them. That includes redistricting, that includes property tax relief. And because of the weak, effectively non-response, I would argue assistance of the supposedly Republican leadership, in particular in the Texas House, the Democrats have allowed them to do something even bigger than just thwarting the items that were on the agenda for special session. They have been able to move around the country freely without arrests to galvanize national public support against our very urgently needed redistricting efforts. And so the bottom line is this: the Democrats have won. They wiped the floor in fact, with the Republican elected leadership in the state of Texas, who has exacted exactly 0 punishments on even a single one of these rogue Democrats, despite all the promises to vacate their seats and arrest them. There have been 0 Democrats with their seats vacated. There have been 0 Democrats arrested. Not one Democrat's been pulled off a single committee. Not one Democrat committee chairman, yes, Democrats chair committees in Texas, has lost their chairmanships. Not one Democrat has had their seniority taken off. Not one Democrat has had the governor, speaker, or lieutenant governor pledge to kill their legislation. Guys,
that just goes to show you. That just goes to show you that even in Texas, there are Republicans without a spine. 7 hours ago, KFDM News writes, Texas Democrats called the new redistricting maps radically discriminatory. Texas Democrat Caucus Chair Gene Wu saying, we have stood firm in our fight against a proposed Jim Crow congressional district map. So let's check in with ABC News real quick.
And say the new map. Multiple sources tell ABC News the Democratic lawmakers who left Texas to block new congressional maps from being voted on will return to the state soon. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he will call another special session to vote on the maps if the House fails to reach a quorum again on Friday. President Trump and other Republicans say the new maps would likely give them 5 more seats in Congress. Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom, a Democrat, is vowing to draw new maps there in California that will, quote, end the Trump presidency. ABC News political director Avery Harper is here for more on this. So, Avery, what's the latest on these Texas Democrats? Why come back now?
Right. I think that they feel, and we know from the multiple sources that have told us, that they have accomplished their mission of delaying and derailing this first special legislative session that Greg Abbott called in Texas. They say that they could come home as soon as this weekend, and they feel like they have also sparked national outrage for these efforts to redistrict mid-decade for explicitly political reasons. Like you mentioned, the Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he is going to call another special session on Friday. And so it's possible that we could see this all reset the clock. And we do know that Texas House Democrats, the legislators in that state who have fled the state, they say that they're going to be issuing demands for the special session, the second special session that we're expected to see called on Friday.
What would these new maps mean for the balance of power in Congress if they do pass?
Right. We know that the President Trump has called for Texas to pick up 5 Republican seats. And right now, as that stands, that could give Republicans an edge as they try to maintain control of the House. We know that the majority that they have is very narrow, so we know that Republicans are trying to protect that as well. But of course, we know that other states, namely places like California, are trying to take efforts to redistrict in Democrats' favor in an effort to try and neutralize some of Texas's efforts.
Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom's press office, it looks like they're trying to troll President Trump here with this post on social media, sort of writing in the president's style that California will now draw new, more beautiful maps, that they will be historic, and they will end the Trump presidency, and then in parentheses, Dems take back the House. Walk me through this. What happens if red and blue states now just start this redistricting free-for-all? Does one party have an advantage there?
Right. I mean, what we're seeing is really unprecedented. Typically, we only see states redraw their congressional maps after the census once a decade or after some sort of court order. The conversation about redistricting that's being had now is explicitly for partisan political reasons. And so, yes, states like California are making it known that they want to try and redraw the maps there. But when we talk to elections experts, there are more opportunities for Republicans to successfully redistrict in states across the country than there are for Democrats to successfully redistrict. And so,
well, that's good news. If you got value for this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So the redistricting war exposes everything wrong with American politics. Newsom stands at a podium preaching democracy while literally bragging about rigging the system. French laundry hypocrisy on steroids. Meanwhile, Texas Democrats run away like cowards instead of doing their jobs, and Gary Franchi has to go hunt them down. They collected paychecks while hiding in hotels, abandoning the voters who elected them. And here's the truth. Both parties gerrymander when they can, but right now it's Democrats going nuclear, California plotting to neutralize GOP gains while Texas Dems throw tantrums. And Bannon's right. You don't win by playing nice. You win by fighting harder than your enemies. This battle determines whether your vote even matters in 2026. 5 seats here, 5 seats there. Suddenly Congress flips and your freedom disappears and impeachment proceedings begin. So here's the question. Should politicians who flee their state to avoid votes lose their seats immediately? Drop a yes or a no in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation. You can support Truth by grabbing some gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.